Hello guys, my name is Desmond and I welcome you to my YouTube channel. So guys, for today's lesson we'll be looking at Maths Paper 2. This is exam paper of November 2016. So guys, as you can see the diagram, I hope you're very much excited for today's lesson because you'll actually be learning a lot in relation to this paper, Maths Paper 2. Okay, so guys, question number 4. I'm not really sure if all of you are able to see, but I've noticed that some of you might not be able to see clearly the letters written on this or the information written on my tablet. But once again, guys, I would like to just remind you that I've got this question paper posted on my Telegram channel. You can just search for solving exam papers. If you've got a Telegram account, you'll be able to easily join and access this question paper, which is for grade 11. But it's beneficial to learners in grade 10, 11, and 12. And again, if you're upgrading, this is a lesson for you. So guys, without any waste of time, I'm just going to read through the statement, take you through the diagram, and again, I'm going to solve these questions, and at the same time, I'll show you where and how you score some marks. I'm hoping to also dish out some tips in relation to this type of questions so that you're able to attack any type of question regardless of how different it is as compared to this question for today's lesson. So guys, I won't waste any much time. So now question 4 reads as follows. In the diagram, R and A are the x and y intercepts respectively of the straight line AR. I hope you're able to see there on the diagram. Remember, this is it's a hand-drawn diagram, so it's not 100% to scale. It's just for ease of reference. Okay, so the statement says R and A are the x and y intercepts respectively of the straight line AR. So we already know that A and R, it's a straight line. Okay, so we've got the x and the y intercept. So R is the x-intercept and A is the x-intercept of the straight line AR. Okay, so that's all that we need to note in relation to AR and that statement. So the equation of AR is y, it's equals to -1 over 2x plus 4. Another straight line cuts the y-axis at P, where the x, obviously the x value is 0 and the y value is 2, and passes through the point M, where x is k, y is 0, and N, where x is 3 and y is 4. So guys, let's just quickly refer to the diagram and go through that statement for the last time. So the equation of AR, where is AR? This is AR. Is y is equals to -1 over 2x plus 4. So guys, when you're given this kind of information, you immediately note it on this diagram, guys. So that means the equation for straight line AR is given as y is equals to -y over 2x plus 4. Okay, so we already know, guys, with regards to a straight line, that means the gradient of AR, it's -1 over 2. Okay, and again, the y-intercept of straight line AR, it's equals to 4. Okay, so that means the coordinates of A, obviously the x is 0 and y is 4. Okay, so guys, you'll realize that initially I had only two colors, which is blue and red. So that means additional information that I'm writing in black marking pen is the information that I get as I read on the statement. Okay, so the statement continues and they say another straight line cuts the y-axis at P. This is that point P. Remember guys, it's another straight line. So that was the initial straight line that we've been talking about. There is another straight line, which is that straight line. Okay, so they're talking about the point which is point P, and they are saying this other straight line cuts the y-axis at point P, where x is 0 and y is 2. So that means that point there, it's 2. And passes through the points M and K. So that means along that straight line, it passes through these 2 points, M and N. Okay, did I say K? If I said K, I shouldn't have said K, but it's M and N. Okay, so I hope you're able to see this is M and this is K. Okay, so guys, let's see. Obviously K can see the x value, it's referred to as K. The y value, it's 0 at the x-intercept. And again, at that point N, you've got the x, which is 3. You've got the y value, which is 4. Okay, so let's see guys. Let's see. I just want to see if there's something that I'm missing or if we should continue with this statement. Let me see. I just noticed something, guys. As I've indicated, that's why I first started by indicating that this this diagram that I drew, it's not to scale, but I notice that point N, it's actually somewhere there. So we can just ignore that point there and just connect a line. Okay, so that point, it's somewhere there. Remember guys, in one of the lessons, I've actually indicated that it's best when I make more mistakes, because I've actually emphasized this point that there's a value in every mistake. So I want to just bring it to your attention that I'm glad that I made this mistake, because you're going to learn something, guys. You are going to learn something out of this mistake. So let's have a look. Remember guys, straight line AR has got an equation, which is that one, right? So I've just indicated that this formula tells us that the gradient of that straight line AR is -half, okay? And obviously the y-intercept is 4. So that means that point there, it's 4. This is 4. That's why we have 0 and 4, okay? So how did I notice that the point along M, P, and N, it's actually at that point and not somewhere there? It's because the y value for N, it's on the same line as that y-intercept of this straight line AR. I'm not really sure if it makes sense, guys. But if you remember, I had this point somewhere there, and we said our N, it's where x is equals to 3, and then that's where y is equals to 4. So if that point is 4, then it means the y coordinate of this straight line, it has to align with that 4. It has to be on the same level. Okay, so that means somewhere at that point, maybe the y value is 3. Okay, so guys, this is what I wanted you to just notice in relation to what I've just explained. But as I've indicated, this is a hand-drawn diagram. It's not to scale. It's not meant to be used to compare the level of accuracy. It's just to help us not to scale. It's just to help us to easily refer, because I'm not able to write on my tablet. But then otherwise, for the sake of you ensuring the level of the high level of accuracy, you can just access this question paper on my Telegram channel. So you'll obviously realize that since at that point there it's 2, then it means from there to there was supposed to be equals to from there to there. Can you see? But in my case, it doesn't seem to be equal because it's a hand-drawn diagram. It's not for the purpose of having everything accurate. But if you want to have a look for you when you practice, you can just draw your own sketch and refer to your own sketch, or refer to the sketch on the question paper, because it's more accurate, and in most cases it's much more accurate than what we draw by our hand. But with that diagram not being 100%, it won't it won't be a challenge for us to continue with the questions. So guys, now I'm continuing with the statement. From there we start with the questions. So the statement continues and passes through the points M and N. Okay, so this is M, this is N. Okay, so M, P, and N are points along the same line. Okay, so guys, that was not the end of the statement. It continues. It says alpha and beta, remember these are the angles. Alpha and beta are the angles of inclination of the lines MN. This is MN and this is the angle, and AR respectively. This is AR and this is angle beta. So remember guys, these angles, I didn't just write them, I didn't just position them there. Even on the diagram they are there. So the other thing that I want you to notice guys is that please do not be confused by the Cartesian plane at all times. I've always been saying a Cartesian plane is where we draw our function, so it's where we draw our graphs. So I've drawn the y and the x axis in red so that it doesn't confuse you. So that means from time to time you will realize that when you talk of a straight line, we'll be referring to these lines in blue, and then we can make use of the x and the y axis to refer or to reference some of the points. Just like point N, I was able to notice that, okay, that point there along the y-axis is 4. And again, as part of additional information, I can say from that point going down up to that point there, this is 3. So that means that point there is 3. But this information, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of this information that I've added, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to help us to answer these questions. It might help somehow, it might not. And again, we might need that information, we might not. It will depend on how the questions are asked. Okay, so guys, this is all that I wanted you to notice in relation to this given graph. So please do not be confused by the Cartesian plane. Just be aware that you've got what we call a Cartesian plane and the graphs are drawn on Cartesian plane. So, ladies and gentlemen, something which is not given on this statement is that angle there, angle theta. So because it's not given but is there on the diagram, you should also be aware that some questions might refer to that angle theta. Okay, so now let's start with the first question, question 4.1. the question says, given that M, P, and N are collinear points, calculate the value of K. So guys, please do be aware that when you talk of lines which are collinear, or I mean points which are collinear, it means they are actually falling along the same line. Okay, so if you connect those points, they form a straight line. Okay, so I've already noticed that MP and MP and N, M, which is that point, P, which is that point, and N are collinear points. Okay, so now they want you to calculate the value of K. So this should be one of those simple questions where you just easily obtain full marks. Okay, so I hope you've noted down the question. So guys, for collinear lines, if we've got, let me just say 4.1, if we've got a line, let's say this is M, this is P, and this is N. Okay, so that means the gradient of M and P, it's equals to the gradient of P and M. I'm not sure if there's someone who agrees. If you agree, just like this, video, it will be an indication that you do agree with me. So guys, with that statement, I can make a formula to say the gradient, okay, of MP is the same as the gradient of Pn. Since you liked this video, even if you didn't but you do agree, or you didn't but you are not sure, but I assume you do believe that I might be right in making that statement, because these are collinear points, they fall along the same line. Even if I had to introduce another point there and call it Z, for example, another point there and call it S, that means this gradient is equals to that gradient, is equals to that gradient, is equals to that gradient. Okay, but in this case we choose to use these 3 points because we've got the coordinates of those points. So we can use this formula to substitute all of these points. Okay, remember guys, if we are now concentrating on the gradient of MP, that means we are looking at the coordinates of MP. So that means y of P minus y of M over x of P minus x of M should be equals to y of the second point, which is N, minus y of P over x of N minus x of P. Okay, guys, can we substitute? Let's now substitute the coordinates into these formulas. Remember, the question wants us to calculate the value of K. Okay, so now let's see, what is y of P? Y of P is that one, is 2, minus what is y of M? It's 0. I hope no one is lost, because I've actually given this letters. I've assigned these y values and the x values those letters. So what is the x of P? Just look at P. This is the x of P, it's 0, minus what is the x of M? It's K. Okay, which is equals to y of N. Y of N, it's equals to, let me see, it's equals to, there it's equals to 4, minus what is y of P? It's equals to 2. So guys, when you get to this stage, please relax. I'm actually moving too fast, but in your case, please take your time and make sure that you substitute correctly, because one mistake, everything is wrong. But before we even get to the final answer, guys, I'm going to tell you something of which you should always use, especially when it comes to this chapter, because it's an indication if your answer is correct or wrong. In short, our K value should be a negative value because it falls on this side of the x-axis. Okay, so let's now continue with our substitution. What is the x of n? The x of n, it's equals to 3. What is the x of p? It's equals to 0. Okay, I hope you are able to see, guys. So 2 minus 0, it's equals to 2. This is over 0 minus k, it's just negative k, which is equals to 4 minus 2 is 2 over 0 minus 0 minus 3 is equals to 2 over 4. Okay, so guys, it means let me just check for a different marking pen and write this information. Guys, that means the gradient of Pn is equals to 2 over 3. So the gradient of Pn, it means this is Pn. Pn is that point and it falls along that straight line. So that means m, which is the gradient of m Pn, it's equals to 2 over 3. So guys, it's very, very much important to note down that information, because you'll never know, we might need it to solve some of the upcoming questions. So that means the gradient of that line is equals to 2 over 3. So now we just continue to solve for this k, which is what the question wants us to calculate. So you can just cross multiply. This is negative 2k, which is equals to, that times that is equals to 6. Okay, so k is equals to, you just divide with negative 2 on both sides. So that means k is equals to negative 3. So guys, I'm not sure if you understood how we answer that question. So I assume you've been waiting for this stage where you want to see exactly where you score your marks. Okay, so we are going to give you a mark for formulating that for formulating those two gradients. I mean, to come up with the formula which has led you to the correct answer. We give you a mark for that because we assume you thought deep about that question and you used your mathematical understanding to derive that equation or to derive that formula. So we'll give you a mark. Remember guys, this question, I think it's allocated 3 marks. Let me just quickly check and confirm so that we give you where you deserve marks. So we give you the first mark. Obviously, once you've identified the formula, this is just an expansion of that formula. So we just give you a mark for correct substitution. After correct substitution, we assume this is grade 8 stuff, guys, solving. So we will give you a mark for your final answer. So that means these steps in between, they don't deserve any mark. So if you're in grade 10 or 11, you'd score some marks for some steps in between. But obviously, even if you're in grade 11, you won't even score some marks in between. Solving for x, especially this stage, it's not a priority. We assume when you're in grade 11, you already know how to solve for x. So we're just interested in your thinking capacity. So guys, that's how you solve the first question. Okay, so now let's get ready to move to the next question. Okay guys, so the next question is 4.2, and the question says, let me just bring it so that you're able to see. The question says, determine the size of angle theta, the obtuse angle between the two lines. So guys, this question, it talks about that theta. It hasn't been there on the main statement, but Let me see. Okay, I see. So this is the angle theta that they are talking about. I'm just trying to see. So now what it means is that this information could have been in that statement, but then it wasn't necessary. Now it comes in a form of a question where 4.2 says determine the size of theta, the obtuse angle between the two lines. So that means this is the line, this is the line. They want you to calculate the angle between these two lines. Okay, so guys, let's just think about this and see which in which way can we solve for this question. Okay, so if we calculate that angle and calculate that angle, we can easily be able to calculate that angle. I'm not really sure if you are able to notice what I'm talking about, guys. It's one of those tricky questions, but they are doable. So let me think. Okay, let me just formulate just like we did with 4.1 for this question. So guys, remember, angle theta plus angle alpha plus angle beta, it's not angle beta, but that angle. I'm not sure if we can just refer to that angle as an unknown angle. What can we use? Let's say angle. Okay, let's just use that sign as an angle to say a plus that angle is equals to 180 degrees. You know, when you add the interior angles of a triangle, the sum of these angles must be equals to 180 degrees. Okay, so now what I'm saying is let's calculate that angle and calculate that angle. Then from there, obviously not necessarily that angle, but this angle and that angle. From there, we'll be able to subtract those angles from 180 degrees. Then we should be able to solve for that angle theta. So guys, I think let's do this question into parts, because I notice I've already spent a lot of time on this question. So we'll just consider this as part 1, and then I'll shortly continue with part 2, which will continue from where we left off. So guys, see you in part 2.